appreciate that. I hope everybody uses the website. I think it has great potential. And it's great for the public too. So our speaker tonight, Kevin, you ready? So I just wrote down some things about you, Kevin. I mean, you have a keen eye for grading. I've known you, I've been in coin business for 35 years. I met you in 1982 at the Eliasburg sale. How long is that? 39 years ago. Yeah, 29 years ago. He's a great friend, and he's very funny, a wonderful person. Come on up and
I'm going to sit because actually I envisioned a fireside chat. You're really videotaping this?
yes.
This is also my very first full-length video with my clothes on. Anyway, listen, what I'm going to bring to you today is I'm going to just tell you guys about, really I'm going to give you a little talk about me and how I started in the coin business and what it's meant to me, and I've always been a little different from the other girls in the coin business as well. I got interested in coins very young. My dad was a kosher butcher, and we were from a very modest background, to say the least. And he had a strong box that was filled with silver dollars, cigar tubes with old mercury dimes in them, $2 bills, and I just, on weekends, if you know he was cool, he'd let me go in there and just look through the stuff. It just always turned me on. And started collecting coins when I was about 10 years old. And it was like a drug for me. It was my thing. It was I started collecting type coins early. I bought one of those Brown Dansko albums. And I started filling up with, whatever meager money I could make by paper route and stuff like that, collecting coins. I mean, we didn't have real money to do it. When I was around, I think 11 or 12, my sister started dating my older sister, Mary, who was also a coin collector. So we would go almost every Friday night. There was a place in Paramus where I lived in New Jersey. It was a coin exchange. And you would go in, it was a downstairs mall, and in there was a guy that some of you guys may have heard of. It was Chris Dolly, who I still know to this day. These are all little guys. There was a guy named Milt Dinkin, who Paul knows from New York in the old days, and there were 3 or 4 other guys. And I was collecting coins, and I was really enjoying them. And I went to the back one Friday, and the guy in the back had a no drapery halftime. And I was 12 years old, and he wanted $10 for it. And I looked at the coin. It was dirty, but it looked good to me. So I bought it from him for the $10, and I knew I bought it too cheap. And I brought it up front, and I sold it to Chris Dolly for $35. And that was literally the thing that changed my life. I realized it was better than paper routes, cutting lawns, working in my dad's butcher shop, all that stuff. So basically, I started going to local little coin shows, taking tables, showing tables to people. And I found I had an affinity for it at a very, very early age. Also at the time, and it's really actually very important to this whole story, because 1959 was the year I was born. It's really a magical year for people that are in the coin business. John Albanese was born in 59. I was born in 59. The lovely Miss Sperber was born in 59. Brian Hendelson, Tim Carroll, who's a great coin dealer out of Florida. Who else am I missing, David? Did you write them down? Joe O'Connor's 59. And Doug Winters at 59.
Paul Nugget.
Paul Nugget is not at 59.
Lee Mitchell.
Lee Mitchell is at 59. There's a lot. Mark Gaffney. I think there's a lot
Brian
of
Hendelson.
I mean. There's a lot of different reasons. But for me, we were from a very working class family. And my mom always had a hustler gene in her. A lot of these guys know my parents when I was a kid. I'm not going to that a little further. But we would go, if we could gather up $100, it was a lot of money. And we would go to banks, we'd buy rolls of $50, 71 and 72, looking for clad, which at the time was worth about 70 cents each. And if we were lucky, we'd find silver ones, which were worth like $1.25 each. And And we would do that until we spent all of our money in silver. And if I could make $100 a week back then, doing this, huge money, absolutely huge money. And I used it to buy more coins with. And started traveling more. My mom and dad were wonderful. We would go on weekends to all throughout New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and all around this area. There were little coin shows everywhere. And you could always go, and I began meeting people like Dennis Steinmetz in Pennsylvania. And I started, through trading, being able to buy better coins and more expensive coins. When I was 14 years old, I traveled to my first bigger coin show, which was it was in Philadelphia. They had it at that Sheraton Hotel, and you could hear the railroad tracks going overhead. What show was that, Paul? Great Eastern Show.
Gina.
Thank you. And you'd always hear the trains there, I always remember it. And that was the show, actually, where I met Jim Halpern for the first time. And Jim recognized that I had something special that was different about me, and he offered me a job. My mom and dad with me. He said, listen, I want you to go, I'm going to send you plane tickets whenever there's a coin show, and you go, you fly there, I want you to go buy coins for me. I mean, when you're young like that, you don't think, well, I'm 14 or 15, what am I doing? But the thought of it excited me tremendously, and I started doing that. And that summer, I only worked for Jim for a few months, but actually one of the very first coin shows I went to with him when I was 15, I got, just the luckiest guy in the world. I mean, they thought I was a genius because some guy was setting up at a coin show, one of these little dealers who never has any coins. And I was too stupid not look at this guy's coins because I didn't know anybody. And somehow this guy had the deal of a lifetime. And he had, one of the coins I bought from this guy when I was 15 years old was I bought a choice sunk no drapery half that the guy didn't know was a no drapery, he thought it was a regular one. And I bought it from him for like $300, and Halpern sold it immediately to Jim Liu for $3,500, and all of a sudden I was a genius. But the truth of the matter was I was just very lucky. And that summer, I went to work for Steve Ivey, and I spent a whole summer in Dallas, and I met a lot of people. I met one of my dearest and closest friends forever while in Dallas, a guy named Mike Follett. And I started going, that was the year was the Los Angeles A&A 1975. I was 16 at the time. And what happened was, even though I was actually very confident for 16. I would go spend a lot of money on coins because I didn't know anyone. Actually, I went to Chicago a few times. There was a old timer downtown who had a coin and stamp shop. What's the guy's name? Come on.
I didn't go
You
down.
know nothing about Chicago? No.
Which one are you talking about?
No, it wasn't. Anyway, I forgot the guy's name. And I went and I actually spent over $100,000 in Chicago. Ross, thank you. You said Ross.
Okay, John Ross.
Thank you, John Ross. Fabulous coins. And Ivy got all nervous when he found out I spent that much money. Freaked out. But I came back and I just did very, very well. And we went to A&M. Oh, he freaked out. Because no one ever told me, no one ever gave me limitations. I'm the kind of guy without limitations. No matter what I do, without limitations. And I did very, very well working for Steve, and he was very much like a father figure at the time. And him and Linda, took me in as like a little son, a younger brother, and he was going to be emancipated as my guardian because he wanted me to stay and work for him because I really was doing very well and making Steve a lot of money and having a wonderful time living the dream. I was never good in the office, so pretty much during the weekdays when there was no coin shows, I get to run away from the office and go find my friend Mike Follett, who, if you guys may or may not know, but the coin dealers know, was an incredibly fun, great guy to hang out with. And he started making me into the demented being I became. Did an excellent job. Take me out drinking with him when I was 16. Just do all the wonderful things that I enjoyed at the time. So, but because Ivy didn't want me around the office anyway, because I was useless. You know, I yet hadn't understood the other elements of life as a business person, which was being organized, doing paperwork. All I wanted to do was go buy coins. So he was smart enough even then to realize, you know, how to utilize me to my best potential. And he just let me like pretty much do as I wanted during the day and go to coin shows as it was. What was really funny though was for the A&A, he hired a nanny for me. Her name was Jeannie Johnson. I remember the woman to this day. She didn't work there regularly, but he actually hired a woman to go to A strictly to watch me. It's God's truth. It's the truth. And she was there the whole time, and it didn't help. Once